listeners. Burning with desire for another episode of
Film.
Film.
It's the podcast where we pick a flick and decide if it's a movie or a film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Nate. Come home, Amy. I dare you.
And I'm Terrell. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun.
I don't know yours.
Army of Darkness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's your second quote from that Evil Dead franchise.
Is it?
Yeah, you did. Something
Maybe.
before. I don't remember what. I think it was Evil Dead 2.
What was yours?
Mine was Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, okay.
Because today we're talking about Burning.
Yes, we
movie
are.
where the girl's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But first, some movie news, or just trailer talk as it's
some
kind
more
of becoming. It Chapter 2.
Yeah, it's Chapter 2 premiered its trailer with I like the way they did the trailer for this one because it shows a extended clip for the movie.
I do prefer when trailers will show early scenes from the beginning of a movie, like you get a feel for the whole scene instead of just clips that take you through the entire plot of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Or 80% of it.
Right? And it's a good setup too. It's a little chilling. It's really creepy with the old lady and Jessica Chastain, who is, I believe, great casting. Great casting from the little girl to her.
The girl that played the young girl in the first one played a young Amy Adams in Sharp Objects.
Interesting.
And I thought that was really good because they have the same little curved nose thing. But yeah, Jessica Chastain's also an older red-haired woman.
Yeah, and she's a great actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's more great casting. And there, Bill Hader is in there, and James McAvoy, and a few other people.
Bill Hader probably not there to provide comic relief. I guess he's just doing a horror movie now.
Yeah. His
he
character.
Can act.
Yeah, he can act.
He can act. He's a very good actor, and write and direct.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, his character isn't the comic relief of the movie. That's not who he's portraying. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I got to say. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely, I went to go see it with my mom when it first came out. You know, I always drag her to a horror movie.
I definitely have to catch up and watch Chapter 1.
Yeah, have you seen the original?
Nope.
All right, we have to watch the original first.
Do I have to?
No, but
do I have to read the book also?
No. But the original is really good,
okay.
and it has Tim Curry in it. You know?
Ooh, I do like Tim Curry.
Yeah, right. Come on, he's Pennywise in the original.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
All
right, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
We also got Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yeah, the second trailer dropped.
Yes.
A little more detail after Endgame.
Yeah, let's not spoil Endgame yet.
Again.
Well, we spoiled it at the end of the episode.
Oh, right.
Let's not open the very next episode with, all right, now we're just going to talk about Spider-Man and offhand spoil Endgame. But we got Peter in, he's alive.
Yeah, he's alive.
He's going to Europe.
Yeah, it's dealing with the effects, it happens directly after Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was interesting to see.
Yeah, we get some interesting things where it seems like Jake Gyllenhaal, who's playing Mysterio, the villain in the movie, is being introduced to Spider-Man as a fellow hero. Yeah,
he's a hero, and he's also from a different dimension, alternate timeline.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But who knows? I think the whole character of Mysterio is that everything's a show, and you don't know what you can believe.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for it. Mysterio's my favorite.
Jake Gyllenhaal's my favorite.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal is playing my favorite.
My favorite is playing your favorite.
Yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. So
I don't really get why they're leaving New York. I mean, I feel like Spider-Man and New York City are pretty closely tied. And to just have the second Spider-Man movie in this franchise be abroad is kind of weird. But I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe because, I guess every place would be distraught, but I guess New York would just look ravished. I guess
yeah,
it would look pretty bad.
Well, something I liked a lot about Homecoming is that even though Spider-Man was being ushered into this Marvel Cinematic Universe, he was just a kid in high school. It felt very grounded. Yeah. This doesn't seem like that. I mean, I guess the title's Far From Home. they're not being coy about that. They acknowledge it, but it's I don't know. I don't know if I'll be as into it.
We'll see. You know, it's the sequel. It's a little bigger and badder, bigger and badder.
So far in the history of cinematic Spider-Mans, there's only been one Spider-Man 2 that's good.
The original Spider-Man 2? Yeah.
One of the best Spider-Man movies. I was going to say probably the best, but then I remembered that Spider-Verse exists, and that's the best. That's so good.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the trailer, as soon as they said alternate dimensions, I was like, introduce Miles Morales. Like, come on. Right. That's the door right there. You guys just opened it.
Oh, they did show Spider-Man in the noir suit, though, in the trailer. Who's a character in Spider-Verse, the movie I like better than the... I guess I haven't seen it yet. Maybe Far From Home is better than Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
you can't see, but I'm shaking my head now.
Wait on it.
Yeah. That's
about
it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, let's talk about Burning.
Let's talk about Burning.
I have a feeling this conversation's going to go on for a while. It's a long movie.
It's a very long movie.
2 hours and 28.
Yeah.
Shorter than Endgames, but still long. It was much slower paced.
Very slower paced movie. This movie definitely needed a second viewing. For personally, for me, I needed to see this movie twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I finished watching it the first time, I was very happy that we had scheduled a second viewing in before the podcast, because it's just, you don't know what you're looking for the first time.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I'm just like, my mind is racing, thinking like, oh, this is a trap. This is something wrong. This is something bad. And it ends up not being that. And so watching it the second time, my mind is at ease. Yes. You know, and I can focus on the story. And because it's a mystery, you're still trying to figure it out, but you kind of know, the path.
You know what you're about to see, at least. So you can, it's easier to try to put things together.
Yeah.
Let's start. Burning's a Korean mystery drama.
Yeah.
Maybe a thriller. I don't know.
Maybe like a
in the last 20 minutes, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
But more mystery drama, I'd say.
Yeah. So the movie starts with the meet cute, boy meets girl.
Yes.
Yeah, like right away.
Well, it's our protagonist Jung-soo runs into a girl,
Jaime.
We learn that they knew each other from their childhood. And he doesn't recognize her, though.
Right.
Because she says she has gotten plastic surgery.
And she notices him right away. And right away, she's, like, very into him. Almost too much so. To where, because of the first time I watched it, I was a little worried. I was just like...
It seems like a setup.
Yeah, it seems like a setup.
I'm not fully convinced that it wasn't.
Yeah. Like, she's, like, really into him. She's like, you want to, smoke on my break? And so, they smoke and they talk. And I think that's where she reveals that she had plastic surgery.
I think it's when they first run into each other and she's asking if he recognizes her.
Right.
We should say it's her break from, like, her job to lure
people into the store.
There's some lottery promotion.
Yeah.
She gives Jung-soo the ticket,
and
he wins.
And he wins a watch.
A watch that she talks him into giving her.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. These seem like small things, but then...
Yeah, they all come back.
It's a 2 hour, 28 minute movie, but I don't think there's much in there that is...
wasted.
Exactly.
And then, after the smoke break, she's so into him that she's like, you want to go get drinks? And he's like, why not?
Yeah. Let's first talk about what we learn about who Jung-soo is. He says what he's up to in his life right now is that he's a writer. But then he's a little weird about it because he hasn't actually written anything. He says he's not officially a writer. He wants to become one. And I think this idea of not quite being what you say you are, saying you're something that you're not. Mm-hmm. It's just question marks everywhere in every corner of this movie.
Yeah, he went to college, but he's not doing anything with his degree right now.
No, I think he recently got back from the military.
No, he went to the military and then he went to college. Okay. And now he's not doing much of anything.
And now he's moving back to his parents' home on a farm, in a farm village.
Yeah.
Outside of Seoul.
Near North Korea.
Yeah, near the border.
All right. So we go up for drinks and then we get like this great dialogue with Jaime talking about the little hunger and the great hunger.
Yes.
She wants to go to Africa, I think Kenya, right, to be exact, and visit the bush people to learn about the great hunger because she wants to figure out the meaning of life.
Yeah, she wants to go to Africa for the same reason that a lot of young lost people go to Africa. Right? It's kind of this naive thing, right? Yeah. This quest. But also it's a universal feeling, this great hunger. The little hunger is just people who starve for food, literally. Yeah. The great hunger is you starve for meaning in your existence.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool because it sets her up to be this lost character searching for an answer that she's probably not going to get. I mean, definitely not going to get.
We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, does anyone know that answer? Like the greater meaning to life?
I think people do a good job of pretending that they know.
Probably.
And they invest a lot in showing everyone that they, in fact, do know.
Yeah. So that's what she's on the hunt for. And, she ends up getting really drunk and passing out.
Not before that, though, she does some pantomiming.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I want to talk about
you want to talk about the pantomiming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's some big thematic significance to this idea. She's pantomiming eating a nectarine.
Yeah.
And she says it's all about once you convince yourself that something's there, it's hard to believe that it's not.
Right.
And that pantomiming isn't about talent. It's all mental. It's just believing that it's there.
Right.
And that's a lot of what follows.
Yeah.
I think Jong-soo believes that there's stuff happening that may or may not be happening. I mean, even small things like we'll get it. We'll get there. Yeah. We'll get there. Are we in Jaime's apartment yet?
Well, yeah. She asks him at the place that they're at to feed her cat while she's away in Africa. And then it's the next scene where we get to her apartment.
In my notes, I wrote down so many little things. Like I really liked when Jong-soo's paying at that first dinner. We see him paying and there's like this hesitation once he gets the receipt in his card. He like does a double take.
Yeah, because it's a bit pricey.
They do a really good job of showing that our character is struggling financially. This is before we even see his desolate farm house.
Yeah, and she's passed out, and instead of waking her up, he just sits there on his phone.
Is that where the people right next to him are making out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people right next to him are making out.
Yeah, he's got some hunger as well.
Or
I don't know if it's the great hunger, but
yeah.
Definitely a strong desire for Jaime.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that happens just yet. Until no, actually, no, it does happen at that point. Yeah. And so, we get to them meeting so that she can, like, introduce her to her apartment.
Yeah.
And the cat. And she does this thing right away where he gets off the bus. She's really excited, and she, like, wraps her arm around his arm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was just like, it was just, like, really quickly how friendly she got. And he was just, like, noticing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get into her apartment, and there's no cat. But there is a cat. But there's no cat.
There's a discussion of whether or not there is a cat.
Even the cat's a mystery.
Yeah. There's this concept in, what is it, like quantum theory or something? Quantum physics. Just Schrodinger's cat is this idea of this cat that you observe, and if you look for the cat, then it ceases to exist. But if you just believe that it's there, then it can exist based on that. But if you need to prove that it's there, then it stops existing.
Okay.
It's about the influence that a third-party observer can have on what they're witnessing. Mm-hmm. So that kind of speaks to Jung-soo as this third party in the events that follow. Mm-hmm. Whether or not his presence affected what happened or what did happen, we don't even know. Yeah. So yeah, there's this discussion of is the cat even here? Jaime says the cat's shy. All right. The cat's name is Boyle.
Yeah, the cat's name is Boyle.
Boil, not like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I kind of like Boyle as a cat name.
Yeah. I just was thinking of 99.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get two important things. We get the moment where she's talking about how the light reflects. Yes. Right? Off
she only gets sunlight once a day when it bounces off the Seoul Tower.
It's a very rare occurrence.
Reflecting in her room. So she doesn't even get light in her room unless it's bouncing off this skyscraper. Mm-hmm. Also, when Jung-soo first enters the apartment, he comments on how nice it is. He says in his last place, his kitchen sink was right next to his toilet. Right. We see he walks in, he's right next to the kitchen sink. After he makes that statement, the camera just we see the rest of the room. It's very small.
Yeah, it's just a room. And
it's
then
not
a
nice.
Bathroom. Yeah. His place must have been really tiny.
Yeah, that really says a lot about where he's at financially, where she's at. Mm-hmm. What was your second thing?
My second thing was when she is talking to him on the bed and she was like, "You called me ugly." And that kind of tripped me up because I'm just like, oh, this is it.
Yeah, is this like a revenge thing?
Right, exactly. Right? And so, because everything following was so awkward that any moment something could have happened. So yeah, she says, "You called me ugly, but now tell me the truth." And so she gets really close to him, and then that's when they start to get intimate. And
he doesn't respond.
Yeah,
this accusation of that, I guess he bullied her when they were younger. Mm-hmm. He doesn't respond. They just go right into sex.
Yeah, and it's very awkward too. This is his first time, right? This is his first time having sex, right?
I don't know.
It seems like it is. The way he kisses her is very it's very when you're doing something, you have a great release of energy and like anticipation being released. You know what I mean? And he's kissing her and he's breathing really heavy and he's squinching up his face and he's going to have sex with her and she's like, "Wait," and she goes to grab a condom. Now, even her grabbing...
she grabs a condom from, under her bed. She knows exactly where they are.
Yeah. For some reason, I even thought her grabbing the condom was, part of a setup. It was gonna... she did something to the condom or something. I was just very paranoid. And he can't put on a condom. That's another factor.
Yeah, you're
that
right.
Make me think,
she has to put it on.
Yeah, she has to put it on. And then when he, enters her, when he penetrates her, it's a really...
Hi, Mom. I know you're listening.
It's a really big moment for him.
Yeah.
You can see it on his face. It seems like this is his first time in a woman.
Maybe.
I'll say that.
It's the way it's filmed is it's mostly one shot. It's just this long shot of them. And it's kind of slanted on the bed. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely no sound. Usually you get some music when two characters are having sex.
Nothing.
It's just silent.
And she's laying there looking at him and he's just doing his business and then he goes to kiss her, but it's just like they're just mushing faces against each other. And then
wait, that's not what kissing is?
It's so like dead fish. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and he sees it. He sees the light. The rare occurrence is happening.
And that's when he climaxes.
Yeah, the light starts to fade. And then, he climaxes.
The brief glimmer of light that could maybe be symbolic of Jaime's entrance and disappearance from his life. Just as this glimmer of light, this fleeting beauty.
Also, really important piece of information that was released in this scene is him saying that his mom left.
And that his father is having some trouble, but Jaime doesn't ask him for details. Yeah,
she's like, there's always problems.
Yep. So we as audience don't get any details
on that yet.
We and even by the end we don't have specifics about what happened. We know there was an assault, an obstruction of justice. He threw a chair, but we don't know at whom or why. We hear. I mean, I am jumping ahead a little bit, but we hear that his father has this bottled up anger and rage issues, and Jung-soo hates him for that. We discover Jung-soo might have the same.
Yeah, that is jumping.
Yeah.
Well, and so after the really awkward sex scene, we go to the farm. Yes. Yeah, he's walking in the rain. You know what I mean? Just carefree. I guess feeling kind of good.
Yeah, I mean, already just the contrast from the city to his hometown is stark.
And he walks in the house and it's just junky. It's a mess. You know what I mean? His dad
it's pretty depressing.
His dad was alone in that house pretty much, and not cleaning after himself or anything like that. And so, I mean, the important things we see in this place, I'll just run it down, is that there's a cow.
Yeah, a very skinny cow.
Yeah, very small cow. Right away, we get the mysterious calls. They start.
Yes. Yeah. One of the many mysteries of the movie are these calls that Jung-soo gets. And anytime he picks up the phone, he says hello, but there's nothing there.
Yeah, no one answers. And then we get I wrote this, but we get Trump on the TV.
I wrote Trump too. It's significant. Yeah. It's a Korean film, and Trump is on TV in the corner of the frame. Just this monster.
Yeah, talking about immigration. You know what's weird is that before this moment, I had the thought. I was like, "What year is this set in?" I was like,
did that help date?
Yeah, that helped. Date it? Yeah,
I just assumed it was present.
I was like, because he has like a landline. I don't know why. I'm just like thinking like so American, and I'm just like,
where's his iPhone?
Yeah, like we're like, but
he's not wearing Nikes and
a little landline and stuff. So Trump pops up, and it helps me like set like the date. For it.
And for me, it helped me kind of view. I was already struck by the city versus the farm, but then I started really paying attention to the class differences.
Yeah.
And then with the introduction of Ben's character later, that becomes even more glaring.
And then we get a shot of the knives. His father has like a cabinet full of like blades.
Yes.
And I made it.
Chekhov's knives, as I wrote.
I made a mental note. I was just like, this is important. I said, they're showing this to you for a reason. So remember that he has access to knives.
Yeah, Anton Chekhov had this whole thing about how if you see a gun in Act 1, it'll go off by Act 3?
Yeah.
Is that there's 3 acts in a play?
Yeah, 3 acts.
Okay.
Yeah. So they show you
they're like hunting knives, I guess.
Like little blades, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And right after that we get his first visit to her house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Boyle is nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's a litter box under Jaime's bed that does seem to have some cat droppings in it. So it's implied that there is indeed a cat that's hiding. It's a very small apartment, though. Yeah. I would think that you would be able to at least hear or see the cat.
Right.
But we don't.
Nope.
We have to just assume that it's there, but that assumption can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
He gets there, feeds the cat, or puts out cat food.
Yeah, puts out cat food.
Looks out the window at the tower that the light reflects on once a day.
Yeah. And he gets horny.
he masturbates.
Yeah, he starts to reminisce to, what happened between him and Hami.
That makes a lot of sense that was his first sexual encounter. Right? I didn't consider that.
He really starts to obsess over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's infatuated with her.
Yeah.
They have a short fling and she leaves for Kenya right afterwards.
Yeah. And he can't help himself. Just starts touching himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly how it transitioned, but next we get the introduction of his dad.
Yeah, he's in court,
mm-hmm.
just sitting in the back watching the trial take place.
And his dad is just looking at him.
It's this shot from the back.
Yeah.
And like Jung-Soo's just watching this thing take place, and we just see the backs of heads and stuff, but then all of a sudden one of the heads in the corner just turns
mm-hmm.
and just stares at him, and it's so ominous and creepy.
Yeah.
And by now it's been like 15 minutes in the movie, maybe 20. I'm expecting 20. the stuff to start happening. Little did I know the stuff has been happening. It's just not the kind of stuff I thought.
Right.
But yeah, him and his dad don't say anything to each other through the whole movie.
Yeah, throughout the whole movie, they just look, and then he does this weird look away thing, and then he gets up and walks away.
And he gets up, and then the next scene is him talking to his father's lawyer, who's explaining to him that his father is so stubborn, he won't take the settlement.
Yeah, he's full of pride. There's too much pride.
So I wanted to talk to you, Jung-Soo, to ask if you could write a letter asking for lesser sentence.
I thought it was interesting that the lawyer said that you should write a book about your father because he's a great protagonist. And I'm like, is he a great protagonist? He's a really troubled character.
The lawyer has this theory that, hold on. Aren't all protagonists nuts?
Yeah.
Of course, by this point in the movie, after having been watching Jung-Soo up until then, he's kind of boring, very simple.
Very quiet.
Yeah. A pretty blank face.
Mm-hmm. It's a blank canvas of a character.
The lawyer says, aren't all protagonists nuts? And you think, okay, who's this protagonist of this movie that I've been watching? And is this guy nuts? I don't think so.
Right?
He just seems he's there.
Yeah, it's little nuggets here and there, like, in the dialogue that are, like, really great. That, like, when you watch it and watch it again, you're like, oh, this is what this meant. Oh, this is what this meant. So, yeah, those are one of those things, like, that comes back into play. Again, he goes back to Jaime's place.
Yes.
And he starts to jerk off again. Like, he starts to, like...
Yeah, he's got his routine.
Yeah, he has his
put out cat food and water, stare out the window, look at a picture of Jaime. She has just a picture of herself next to pinned to the window. All the other pictures are of, like, little white children.
Yeah, there's, like, on her fridge...
Or maybe the same white child. I don't know, it's weird.
There's a white child, a sky, and a chicken. I was trying to figure out if that, like, meant anything together, but I can't think of it. So, yeah, but, like, this time he gets interrupted. Jaime calls him, and she tells him that she's been stuck at the airport in Kenya for 3 days because there was a bombing.
Yes.
And that she's going to be on her way back, and she wants him to pick her up, and he's all too excited to.
Yeah, this is... I didn't think about it the first time watching it, but the second time, because I don't know what to believe happened, but wouldn't she have said earlier, like, I'm going to be away for this long, this is the day I'm coming back? And so if she was stuck 3 extra days in the airport, why was Jung-soo at the apartment to continue feeding the cat if he expected her to have already been back by then.
I was thinking maybe she came back early.
But why would she be at the airport? Oh, like there were bombings and she... Okay.
Yeah.
I was confused then.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at the airport.
Yeah, we're at the airport. We're at the airport, and Jaime is there, but she's not alone. We get introduced to Ben.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can this be the Stephen Yeun appreciation corner?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say, I didn't watch The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. So my introduction to Stephen Yeun has been, I think I first became aware of him in just personal appearances promoting The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. I remember him on the TV show Comedy Bang Bang, just being funny. And I was like, oh, who's this guy? Full of life. Then, I don't know, I've seen him in some stuff here and there. Okja comes to mind, a movie I like, another Korean film I like a lot. And then he recently has just been on my mind because he just starred in an episode of The Twilight Zone, also playing a mysterious character in a different way. Also, he was in a sketch on the Netflix series I Think You Should Leave and was funny on there.
Yeah, I think about that sketch a lot.
You should watch the rest. I should make you watch the rest of those episodes.
I think about that sketch a lot.
And also now he's starring on the Netflix series Tuca and Birdie from the creative team behind BoJack Horseman.
Oh, I didn't know he was on that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
He's the male lead, I guess. Ooh. The romantic lead.
Okay.
He plays another bird. They're all birds in that show.
Yeah, right.
He's funny, though. I don't know.
Definitely.
He's got some good voice acting, some good... And in this movie, when he popped up, I mean, I'd been waiting for him because I thought he was the star of the movie because I didn't really know anything about this movie before watching it. So I'd been waiting for him.
Yeah. I was definitely found out about this movie because of him. Mm-hmm. And, yeah.
He's certainly compared to Jung-soo, who we had been with the whole time, the whole first half hour of the movie. Mm-hmm. But also, I think just in general, he's just magnetic.
Yeah, it's very charming.
You want to... Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt that he's, like, super good looking.
The first time I viewed this movie, I couldn't get over the fact that I know him as an American actor. Mm-hmm. And I just saw him as an American actor in a Korean film. Watching it the second time, I wasn't thinking like that. He kind of just fit in.
Yeah.
But it took a moment for that to happen.
Okay.
But, like, I mean, it's, like, nothing wrong with his accent or his Korean speaking or anything as far as I can tell. Like,
no, but the way they
he looks very
position his character, though, is he is more, I don't want to say Americanized, but certainly he's wealthier for sure, but also just more modern almost.
Yeah, modern, well-traveled, and his name is Ben.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So, yeah.
He's he's got these really comfy leisure wear sweaters, I guess.
Yeah, and as soon as
so we find out that they met in the airport in Kenya.
Yeah.
They were the only two Korean people there, so they
connected.
The story is that they were the only two Korean people there, so they connected. So yeah, it's a weird situation. You go to pick up this girl that you have a past with and also a recent fling from the airport, and all of a sudden
this guy's
Ben's there.
Yeah, and you can tell right away he's just like not about it, and he kind of like shuts down a little.
Yeah.
Because there's that car ride. There's the car ride with the three of them where Jung-soo and Jaime are not talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And Ben is just in the back talking, and he's talking to his mom. So, I'm
not convinced that he was actually talking to his mom.
I think he was.
He might have been.
Because later on, we see him at...
We do see him with the family.
Yeah, with his family. So we know that he's a family man. And so it's that juxtaposition of Ben having his mom in his life and Jung-soo mom running out on him when he was younger.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can start to see where Jung-soo is starting to look at him.
Oh, he hates him. He's so jealous of him and everything he has and everything he represents.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to get the best tripe soup because Ben knows the best tripe place in Seoul.
Mm-hmm. And we get
so while they're there,
we get this great scene.
Yeah, the scene opens the shot. We just see Jung-soo and Jaime sitting next to each other, and Jaime's talking about the sunset that she saw, and how the sun is all these colors. Like orange, but then it becomes this blood red. Yeah. And then
it's really beautiful.
And then nothing.
Yeah.
And she wants to be like that, where she's beautiful and then ceases to exist, disappears.
Yeah, she almost can't appreciate it. She almost can't appreciate the moment because she's so sad.
And she starts crying immediately, even telling the story about how.
And her acting. The actress, her name is Jang Seo-jun.
Okay.
She's great in the scene. Like
all
her
the
crying
are so
is great. Like the tears are just running down her face. Her face turns like pale and red. And the whole time I'm watching it, especially the first time, I'm just like, say something, Jung-soo. Say something. Like like she's talking to like you.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything.
He doesn't say anything.
And then we just hear laughter from off screen.
Yeah, and then Ben comes in.
Then we get the cut. Well, apparently he had been there the whole time. We get the next shot. We see the other side of the table was Ben just sitting across from them. And he's just laughing at her crying.
He said, it's fascinating watching people cry. And, he reveals that he doesn't feel sadness or true sadness.
He says he can't remember ever shedding a single tear.
At this moment, I was like, oh, yeah, he's a sociopath.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, like this, he's a sociopath. Like something's up with him.
And then, he has to get up for a moment because someone he knows is there. We find out that it was someone dropping off his car. So we go outside. Jung-soo still has all their luggage in the back of his, crusty old van, truck van, whatever.
Right.
Pickup truck. But then right behind it is a Porsche.
Yeah. So he gives Ben his luggage, and then Hanmi is just standing there.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you know what? Go with him.
He gives up.
He gives up. And I remember yelling at the TV, like, what are you doing?
Fight
don't do this. Yeah, don't do this. Like, she's awkwardly standing there looking at you because she wants you to be like, come with me. But he does nothing.
He never does. Even later when he admits his love for her, he admits it to Ben, not to her.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that because that was, and so, he sends her on her way when he was just, fantasizing about her and looking forward to seeing her.
He just gives up and
he just gives
says, go with Ben.
Yeah. And so they drive off in this nice car.
Yeah. And then we're back on the farm. More mysterious phone calls.
Yeah. And, he took his father's lawyer advice and he started writing something. He wrote this petition for the neighboring farmers to sign.
Now, what's interesting, though, is he didn't write it from his point of view. He didn't say, my father is blah, blah, blah. He said, we are concerned neighbors. And our neighbor, whatever his father's name is, was always a great citizen, helpful.
And a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that until just now. That's interesting that he's writing someone else's words.
Yeah, he's writing it like a writer.
Yeah, but I think the lawyer...
detached from it.
Well, the lawyer wanted originally for Jung-soo's father to write a letter.
Right.
Then he asked Jung-soo to write it. I don't think that's the kind of letter the lawyer wanted. I think the lawyer wanted from Jung-soo.
Oh.
I don't know. But I think Jung-soo just has this... he's this writer he wants to write a novel. He doesn't have an idea for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of lost in life. And I think he kind of latches onto other people's affairs.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Right? I think he's good. I think this might show that he has a talent for inhibiting other people's mind space or inventing truths as, alternative truth, as Donald Trump, who was in this movie, says.
Right. Donald
Trump is such a potent symbol in this movie, though.
Yeah, and then...
just everything that Trump represents.
Yeah, and then he's right on the border of North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's going around, and he's trying to get people to sign it. And the guy was just like, frankly, your dad didn't talk to us. He kept to himself, and he wasn't nice. But the guy appreciates the writing.
He's essentially saying, what you're asking me to sign isn't true.
Yeah. He embellishes, but he signs it anyway. He gets in the one guy to sign it anyway.
And he goes to the other place, and a woman opens, not even the door, I guess the window.
Yeah, it's like a sliding door.
To say, nobody's home.
Yeah, no one's here. What do you want?
Only because her husband's not there. She assumes or thinks that her presence isn't anything worth noting.
Yeah, she can't sign anything, so she has to wait for her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the culture, I suppose, of like
there's just some gender politics there of just that a woman's presence isn't even a factor. That shouldn't even be acknowledged. It's nobody. And then there's a line later in the movie that there's no country for women. Right.
No country for women. So the next scene, we get the I guess they're having tea.
Jung-Soo's meeting Jaime for tea.
Yeah.
He gets there.
He's very excited.
And there's 3 plates on the table, and he says, "Is someone else here?"
And then he looks up and he sees Ben, and then he's just like, oh. Like, he just, like, deflates. And he takes a seat across from Jaime. But then Ben comes in.
He slips right in.
And sits right next to Jaime.
It's one of those tables where half of it is a booth, half is the chair. So Jung-Soo takes the chair, Jaime's sitting on the booth, Ben just slides in on the booth so that there's, like, no space in between him and Jaime.
And this whole thing is, again, it's awkward for Jung-Soo.
Well, then there's this whole thing about Jaime said Ben wanted you to come.
Yeah. Ben...
It's weird.
Takes an interest, and I feel like he takes a sincere interest in Jung-Soo.
Right, he's interested in Jung-Soo as a writer because he asks about who his favorite author is, and it's William Faulkner, and later we see that Ben's reading the Faulkner short stories, which I'll talk about later.
I like every scene between them two. When it's like just them two, I like every scene between them two.
Just the dynamics are interesting.
Yeah. And he does like this palm reading thing. He tells her like why you can't
just
be
a classic like skeezy pickup move, right? I'll read your palm. Like it's just a way to touch someone's hand, right?
Yeah.
And then he does the pickup move on top of a pickup move by making it a magic trick.
Yeah, and like he's smiling and looking at Jung-Soo, and Jung-Soo is just sitting there. Ben says the thing about this stone in your heart is why you can't tell a guy who you like why you like them. And she does this thing where she looks over at Jung-Soo and then looks back at Ben.
Yep.
I thought that was really important.
Yeah.
But I don't think Jung-Soo picked up on that because he's like not there.
He's probably busy thinking, oh, fuck this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just trading looks pretty much.
Says you have a stone inside you, and then he closes her hand, and she opens it, and there's a stone there.
Yeah.
And then she's like, where did you get this from? And he's like, still playing. He's like, it's the stone that's inside you. And she's like, no, but where was it actually from? Because this is a mystery, and she wants the answer.
Right.
He says, okay, I took it from the flower bed that's over there.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you planned all that ahead? And he's like, yeah, I'll do anything for fun.
Yeah, I'll do anything for fun. And so,
creepy.
So yeah, we're at this really nice place. And then he invites them to his house for pasta.
Yeah.
And his place is really nice.
Yeah, if Jung-soo thought Jaime's place,
Jaime's
studio apartment was nice, wait till he gets to the 14th floor. I looked at, because I was reading a little bit, I did see that it was the 14th floor. Apparently 14 is like how, you know how we don't have the 13th floor on buildings because of superstition? 14 is the superstition, is this like bad number in Korean culture, and a lot of buildings don't have 14th floors.
Interesting. So this one had a 14th floor.
Yeah, I was looking up for some like cultural references that I would miss because I'm not Korean.
And so he's cooking for them, and he kind of, does he think of himself as a god? Do you think? Or is it just like, because he's just like people make offerings to God, and making an offering to myself. He definitely holds himself highly.
Well, that's Jung-soo. When him and Jaime go out for a cigarette, he says he thinks he's a god, right?
Does he? Maybe I missed that.
I think and then he says he's like the Great Gatsby.
Yeah, he says there's a lot of like young and rich in Korea.
Yeah, he's this new wealth. He's doesn't ever really say what he does for a living. All he says is he plays.
Yeah, this is the first time that he's kind of mean to Jaime, because he acts as like, what do you think he sees in you? Right. And then she has to explain herself. That like, it starts to seep in.
Yeah, he's Jung-soo's not good at talking to people.
Yeah, he's a little jealous. Interested in. He's a little jealous.
Oh, very like, jealous.
Focused on Ben and just like him being this rich asshole.
Yeah.
In his place though, when Jung-soo goes to the bathroom,
yes,
and he does a little snooping, he finds that he has this makeup case.
Yeah.
And also, he opens this drawer, and it has like women bracelets,
different items.
Yeah, different items,
like personal items
of women.
Yes.
Yeah. There's little things like that they put in there that makes you like think. And so like right after going to his place, we go to Jung-soo's place.
Well, we meet some of Ben's friends at his place.
The dinner.
And Jaime does the hunger dance.
Yeah.
For the friends.
Who are kind of just making fun of her.
Well, she like instructs them on how they're going to have to clap along if they want to see her do the dance, and they start doing the clapping with her, and then she starts dancing, but then the clapping just slowly fades away because she's been dancing for like a minute now.
Yeah, and she's still dancing.
So she's still dancing. They just kind of stop. It's like a reverse slow clap, where eventually it's just like someone like clapping, not even to a beat. And then she's still dancing, and everyone's just like looking at her.
Yeah.
And then we get this Jung-soo looks at her, and he's like kind of embarrassed by her.
Yeah.
Or he thinks that she should be embarrassed for herself.
Yeah.
Then he looks over at Ben, and Ben's yawning.
Yeah.
And then gives this look to Jung-soo like, what's she doing?
Yeah, but it's kind of, he kind of has like a smirk on his face. It's not like, like he's, it's not like he's not amused. He's a little amused. He still yarns, though. He's still, like, is bored, I suppose. Just rich and bored.
Even though he's the one that really wanted her to dance for his friends.
Right.
It seems like just a game to him.
Mm-hmm. And she's totally oblivious to it. She's fine. She's not affected by this at all. They go to the club, and she dances even crazier.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just having a ball. And they're having fun with her as well. Because she's dancing with them.
And Jung-soo's visibly uncomfortable trying to navigate through the crowd, and there's just so many bodies pushing against him. And
this is not a scene.
Claustrophobic. It's
Yeah. So then we get to his place.
Right after the club, we see him cleaning up after his cow, singing
very loudly
about the cow. It's a really cute moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the one moment where you see him lively, like loud and kind of making a fool of himself when he's by himself with his cow.
But then he gets a phone call from Jaime that they're on their way over.
Yeah. And so he has to stop what he's doing right away.
Yeah.
And so this is just like another like juxtaposition between like the classes. Yeah. It shows like it's very, very clear from his place to his place. I mean, from Ben's place to
right. Yeah, I mean, and then we literally have Ben pull up in his Porsche.
Yeah, to this farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get the well story where Jaime is like, when I was young, I lived right across there and I fell in a well. And I was in there for hours looking up, waiting for someone to come and get me. And then Jung-soo came.
Yeah, he rescued me.
But he doesn't even remember.
Yeah, we see Jung-soo in the background, like, confused by the story, not really sure what's happening. And then it gets to the point where she says that he rescued her.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember that.
He doesn't remember.
And she says, and he doesn't even remember.
You'd think you would remember something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
If I save someone's life.
Yeah. From a well. I think I would remember that. But he has no idea. And it's just like, I think this is like maybe my favorite scene or my second favorite scene. I can't decide, but I really like this whole sequence of them just sitting outside his place, drinking wine and just watching the sunset, you know? And Jaime's just like, you know, this is the best day ever. This may be the best day ever. You know what I mean? And it's just very chill and you're just enjoying each other's company, not even talking that much, really.
No. And then Ben pulls out the pot and they smoke a little bit.
Oh man,
which gets what?
I was just like, Jung-soo is gonna love this. He's gonna love the weed. Like he's gonna become like a piehead. It's gonna be great for him. Like it's gonna like chill him out.
That didn't happen though.
You know, no, I didn't.
We got Jaime to strip naked though.
And like
dance some more.
Yeah.
To the sunset.
This really moving scene of her, like this is like her great hunger dance. This is her disappearing act.
The music that plays, it's like this jazzy nightclub, like almost like a burlesque.
Honestly, I'm saying this probably because I'm doing a show based off of him, but it was a little David Lynch.
No, I think that's a fair comparison.
Yeah, like a woman dancing to that style of music, the way that she was dancing, just very like, you know, lyrical.
She felt free.
Yeah, she felt very free and comfortable.
She was doing a bird with her hands that then disappeared into thin air. Then she was a bird.
Yeah, and then she has this moment of realization, and she starts to break down and cry. You know, She has this...
I guess it's similar to what happened when she was looking at the sunset in Kenya.
Yeah, she has this desire to disappear.
Right.
Like, that's her desire. She does this dance. She's still here. She realizes that. And now she's sad again.
And then she falls asleep because she just falls asleep places.
After she cries, she just falls asleep. Like... Yeah. Pronto.
So we see Jung-soo and Ben carrying her to a couch. Ben's just cracking up. He thinks it's all so funny. Jung-soo seems to be a little more concerned.
Yeah, he covers her.
He gives her a blanket.
Gives her a blanket while she sleeps.
If only he could be so caring while she's awake.
Exactly.
Or around. Because, you know, then we have this conversation where now it's just Jung-soo and Ben sitting outside. Jung-soo opens up about his mother
and his dad. He starts with I hate my dad.
You're right. I hate my dad. He has this bottled up rage. When my mother left, he made me burn all of her clothes. And I still have dreams about it.
Yeah. And then that leads Ben into talking about how he burns greenhouses.
Yeah, then he just says, I burn greenhouses.
Yeah. Every 2 months. he'll burn a greenhouse.
Yeah.
And it's been about 2 months since he burned.
Yeah, Jung-soo, when's the last time you burned? About 2 months.
Yeah.
I just find these greenhouses and
Mm-hmm.
pour kerosene all over them.
Yeah, it's really...
Flick a match and they're gone in 10 minutes. They disappear. They cease to exist. He uses the same language that Jaime used when describing
it's really
her own desires.
Great, mysterious dialogue. Because then you start to wonder exactly what Ben is talking about. He's saying, like, I came out here to scout, and the one that I'm going to burn down is very, very near.
Yeah. Jung-soo says, are you the one you just decide what greenhouses are abandoned or ready to be burned down? And Ben says, I don't judge. I just accept that they're waiting to be burnt down. Ooh, creepy.
Yeah.
And he says it's a crime just like how we're smoking pot.
Mm-hmm.
So he has this rationalization for it.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is Jung-soo's movie. We've been with him the whole time. We feel for him, for his affection towards Jaime, so we share his distaste for Ben.
Yeah.
We hear all this, we're like, what?
But it's weird because he has this distaste for Ben, but he also opens up to him and shows interest in his habit of burning greenhouses. Like, he's really interested in that.
After Ben talks about the greenhouses, he then
admits his
says,
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just randomly. He goes from talking about, Jung-soo's talking about his mom leaving and burning her mom's clothes. Mm-hmm. Ben says his whole thing about burning greenhouses. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, Jung-soo says, I love Jaime.
Yeah.
It's this weird conversation where they're not
and then
talking about the same things, but they might be.
Yeah. And Ben laughs.
Yeah.
And he repeats it again. And he laughs a little more. Mm-hmm. And then Jaime comes out.
Yeah. What? Like, tell her you love her. Don't tell Ben.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And they just kind of just sit there for a moment, staring out again.
I thought that this was his opportunity to tell Jaime what he just told Ben. Instead, Ben's in the car. He's getting ready to pull out. Jung-soo says, why are you so quick to take off all your clothes? You're like a whore.
Yeah, only whores do that.
Right.
And I'm just like, what? Why would you say that to her? Like, this girl has showed you time and time again that she's just like an emotional time bomb, right? And she really likes you. And you saying that could be like the straw that breaks the camel back, right? That's the same. It could be like the final straw. So like I was just like, this is awful.
Yeah, and certainly as I was watching it, definitely the first time, I was like, what are you doing? I want you to confess your love for her and do the right thing. With some distance from it, like, was he ever actually interested in her as a person? Or was it just this attractive girl that showed interest in him?
Right.
So he goes to her empty apartment and masturbates, and he like is just jealous of this other guy that she's with.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even deserve her.
He doesn't.
So she gets in the Porsche, rolls out with Ben, doesn't stay.
Yeah.
You know, those are his last words to her.
Yeah. And after that, it begins the obsession. He starts looking around at greenhouses to see if any of them have burned.
He has a dream.
Yeah, he has a dream.
He had stated to Ben that he still has dreams about burning his mother's clothes, but now we see him dreaming that he's a child looking at this fire, but then we see that the fire is this greenhouse that's on fire, that's burning. Mm-hmm.
And so now what is it on Legion? What is that? The delusion?
Yeah.
Has been, set in his ear. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he's obsessed about it now. And so, he's looking around at greenhouses and none of them haven't burned yet. And then he gets this phone call. He gets a phone call from Jaime. And on the phone call, all you hear is footsteps, like, running away.
Yeah, it reminds me of, like, the phone call Liam Neeson gets in Taken, but with, less information.
Way less.
She doesn't say I'm being taken, but it's an alarming call.
Yeah, so you hear footsteps running away, and then you hear slower footsteps walking closer to the phone, and then you hear a zip, like a zipper sound, and then the call ends. Tries to call her back, and it goes like straight to voicemail, I think.
Yeah.
He can't get in touch with her. And so he rushes to her place, and he can't get in. He convinces the landlady to let him in. And she's just like, you can't ask me to do that. And then she lets him in right away. And her place is super clean.
Yeah, way cleaner than we've ever seen it.
Yeah.
And the landlady suggests, she probably just went away on a trip and cleaned up beforehand.
Also,
but we've seen what her apartment looks like when she's on a trip.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Also, she says, there's no cats here because we don't allow pets.
Right.
And when he goes there, the litter box is gone as well. He goes into her bathroom and opens the window, and right outside of it is her suitcase, her pink suitcase.
Right.
Yeah.
So he knows she didn't go on a trip.
Yeah. He's like, I don't think she went on a trip.
Then we get, in the middle of all this, he goes to a job interview at like a warehouse.
Yeah.
Where, first we just see he's at a warehouse. We don't know why. And it's him and a couple other young people, and they're all just on their phones, isolated. And then they're told to line up. And they're not interviewed as people. Each one of them gets a number.
Yeah.
So they're interviewed. He's number 3. So he's number 3. Where do you live? It's just this demoralizing
it's just like
thing.
Like, can you work flexible hours? Okay. You live 2 hours away. Is that going to be a problem for you? No. And then when it gets to him, he kind of just disassociates.
Yeah, he says, where do you live? And he doesn't answer. He says, number 3, where do you live?
And then he kind of does that thing where he just kind of like looks off into the distance, and then he just walks away.
Yeah, he's like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, he's out. He can't focus on anything else but Jaime and Ben. And why do I have dance here?
Because that's when he goes to Jaime's pantomime studio. We see some people practicing pantomime.
Yeah, they're doing like this dance, which I think has some significance to it. There's something about the movement after he talks to the teacher and he goes back, and they do this movement with their hand across their face, kind of like peeling back a mask, and then kind of like a hand on the heart, but in like an aching way.
Yeah, like a pain.
And then a hands up, kind of like in the same way of the Great Hunger Dance.
Right. Like a yearning or reaching for something.
Yeah, so I'm just like, that means something. They showed that for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get some stalking. He starts to stalk.
Oh, by the way, the teacher had said, no, we haven't seen her.
Yeah.
She hasn't come up.
Yeah.
So now he's following Ben.
Yeah. And I feel like he was a little obvious.
Oh, yeah.
Both times.
But
even
he
more
doesn't
the second time.
appear to get caught.
Yeah.
We don't know if Ben is wise to jumpsuit following him.
If Ben is at all wise, he doesn't act like it. He's still very friendly. He's very friendly to Jung-soo.
So he follows Ben into this hip coffee shop. This is where Ben's sitting down reading. He's Faulkner. Like, see, I'm reading Faulkner now. Yeah. By the way, how is your story going?
Right. He's very interested. In
not
Jung-soo.
That I've read too much Faulkner, but of what I know, I believe, and certainly the one story of his that I know for certain that I've read, he explores. All of his stories were set in the South, like a post, what's it called? Reconstructionist? No.
Industrial Revolution?
No, like after the war, after the Civil War.
Okay.
The South, and he uses the Southern Gothic is his genre, and so it's like there's like dead bodies and like creepy stuff happening, but he uses that to explore like social strife and the class struggles, and I think it relates.
It relates to this.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a movie and your character is a writer, and he's asked who his favorite author is, you're going to want it to be something that ties into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's one of the keys that this movie is kind of about. At least in Korea, young people not having a place in the world, really, and then people with lots of money are just kind of aimless and playing, and everything's a joke, and they don't actually feel anything. And then people that are younger, maybe artists like Jung-soo is a writer, and Jaime, who's a mime, I guess.
Yeah.
She's an artist, though. Yeah. They have these greater desires and great hungers, but no means to realize there. Yeah.
And so they're talking at this coffee house. What does he say exactly? What does Ben say? Oh, they're talking about the burning of the greenhouses, and Jung-soo was just like, I woke up every morning and went around and looked, and nothing around me burned down. And Ben is just like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Maybe it's too close to you that you don't know.
Yeah, sometimes things are too close
for you to see. And, a woman comes in and interrupts them. Someone else that I guess Ben is seeing now.
The new Jaime, perhaps.
The new Jaime. And so, they have to go. But before he drives off, he says this, and it's really suspect too. He says, Jaime was really broke. She couldn't travel because she was really broke. And she was a loner. She didn't talk to her family. I'm just like, this is really suspect. This is how, I guess, people would choose their victims. They would choose loners that, people wouldn't care about.
If he were. Yeah, which the movie doesn't outright tell us. Then, he did his research.
Yeah, he did his research. And it's very, very suspect of him to say that.
He also says to Jung-soo that Jaime had such great affection for you, and that made me jealous.
Yeah, it made him very jealous.
And I had never felt jealousy before. Yeah,
I've never felt that jealous before, which is... weird coming from a guy that's never felt sadness. So what is he? What happens to him when he feels jealousy? You know what I mean?
And then Jung-soo goes to Jaime's mother's...
mom, restaurant, mom and sister. And he talks about the well story, and he's saying it. He's saying it like a writer. Like, he's saying it very well thought out. And in this moment, when he was saying it, like, she was in the well looking up at the sky, waiting for someone to find her. I was just like, it's a metaphor, right?
Yep.
Earlier, she didn't know what a metaphor was. Yeah. But it is a metaphor of her looking up into the sky, looking for someone to find her.
She feels so lost in the world, and she's just wants someone to pull her up out of what we learn. We find out that she's cut off from her family because she's in all this credit card debt. Yeah,
which is crazy. Just like her family is just like, her sister's just like, she can't come back until she pays off her credit card debt. Right. And just like, is it that serious? Like, is it that bad that she can't come see her family at all because of her credit card debt?
Yeah, so we can maybe think of this well story as this desire to be pulled up out of financial strain or out of
emotional despair.
Yeah looking for love, perhaps.
It could totally be a story she made up because they have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, we didn't have a well. What are you talking about? We would know.
Right?
If she fell in a well, we would remember. And also, we didn't have a well.
Yeah, I feel like your parents would remember that. So I'm just like, And so he goes around asking, people. He asks this guy, and the guy's like, "No, I don't think so. I don't think there is a well there."
Right. Then he's following Ben more. We just see him out wandering on the street. We don't know what he's doing, what Jung-soo's doing. He just seems lost. But then he looks up at a skyscraper, and then we see that it's Ben up on like maybe the 20th floor or something, facing a window on a treadmill. And I wrote in my notes, "Who's the creep now?"
The movie kind of flips where you think Ben is like maybe the bad guy. He's definitely mysterious, but then like you see Jung-soo doing like all the like bad guy stuff. He's just following him.
He's the one
everywhere.
doing the following.
Yeah, he's
stalking.
He's stalking him. And he drives this ugly pickup car, which I'm just like,
it's so
Ben
obvious.
has to see it in his rear view mirror. And also later on, when they get to that like that dead end dirt road, and like Ben is now behind him. I'm just like, he doesn't see, or maybe he's not thinking, but like I'm just like, he doesn't notice the pickup truck in front of him. But yeah, he follows him everywhere. He follows him to a museum,
art museum,
where he's having dinner with his like family.
And it's the same thing where the scene doesn't begin with us knowing that Jung-soo is currently in pursuit of Ben. We just see Jung-soo looking at this art exhibit of photos of fires and firefighters, and then it's cuts to the shot of down the hallway in the museum. We see that Ben is just sitting having a meal with people because he's wealthy, and wealthy people can just eat meals. A whole family get together in the museum that they probably like. I bet the wing is named after them or something.
He's just watching, and he also follows him to church as well. Yeah. And he's there with his mom and dad, I presume. Yeah. So like, he's rich, and he has family, he has money, and just everything Jung-soo doesn't have right now. Yeah. And he's very, very lonely.
And then we then
get his mom.
He gets he meets up with his mom. The mysterious phone call. Someone's on the other end this time. They're asking Jung-soo, "Is that you?" And he says yes, and it's his mother. They get together for the first time in 16 years.
Yeah,
and she's just on her phone.
She's on her phone and giggling and laughing. It's not the meeting you think it would be. It's not emotionally rough. Like charged at all.
She's just talking about herself and her own financial struggles.
Yeah, and he offers to help, and she's just like, "How? You got money?"
A line that stuck out to me is she said, "If I were younger, I would donate my organs for money. I would sell my organs." That makes me think about the mystery surrounding Jaime, maybe.
And so he asks her about a well next to Jaime's house. And she says, "Yeah, there was a well there, but I don't remember her falling in. Like, I don't remember that happening." Yeah. So, and
it's just weird. Certain people recalling a well, certain others not.
Yeah, but also no one recalling him finding her and getting her out.
And we're still not really sure if the well existed.
Exactly. It's just like this seed that has been planted.
And also it's weird that Jung-soo says, "I can handle your money issues," because as far as we know, he doesn't have any money.
He doesn't have a job.
Right.
At the beginning of the movie, he's selling clothes for money. So he's just living on his dad's farm. That's the only reason he has a house, really. It's because his dad is in prison or going to prison, and he has a place.
We're in Jung-soo's car in the spot where he sits to wait for Ben to pull out of his garage so he can start following Ben. But then he gets a phone call from Ben asking him where he is. And he says, "Yeah, I'm in the area." And then Ben just shows up at his window, at his car window.
I'm like, "Hey, I thought that was you. What are you doing here?" Right.
Of course it was him. It was the Bongo Frontier, which is, I think, what the truck was called, or at least that's what it said on the door.
And he's like, "I'm here to talk about Jaime." And he's like, "You could have just called. But you know what? Come up, because I'm having friends over for dinner and drinks. So, like, join us.
Right.
And so he does. He joins them.
And this is where I start thinking, maybe this is all in Jung-Soo's head.
Yeah.
Jaime clearly had this desire to just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she killed herself, or maybe she fled to start a new life, or any other explanation that doesn't have to do with Ben murdering her.
Right. Also, I thought, like, if Ben did murder her, he would have thought about Jung-Soo pursuing him.
Okay, so in this narrative, assuming Ben is this murderer, he talks about, when he talks about burning the greenhouses, he talks about feeling the bass in his heart tremble against his bones, and that's when he feels truly alive. And in my experience, like watching crime movies and stuff, like with sociopaths, they always need to like raise the stakes so they can feel more. So I guess if Ben were the murderer, he's like now getting this third party Jung-Soo involved, who's this writer, because he might want to get caught, or he wants to be observed doing his thing. Because
right.
Ben definitely feels himself.
Yeah, he
thinks he's cool.
Says, like, when they're having dinner for the first time after the airport,
I want you to write my story.
Yeah, I want you to write my story. Stuff like that, right? And so, they go up to his apartment, and he goes into the bathroom again. Is there anything like...
There's a meow.
Yeah, there's a meow. So there's a cat there.
And there wasn't a cat there last time.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a name for the cat yet because he just got the cat. That's what Ben says. And so he goes to the bathroom again.
Yeah, checks the same cabinet. Makeup's still there. Opens the drawer to see the bracelets and stuff. But the watch from the beginning.
Yeah, the pink watch is there. Jaime's watch is in his cabinet. He has collected it. Or maybe she left it there. Who knows?
Yeah.
And, he's adding all of it up on his own.
Then the doorbell rings because one of Ben's friends is there. Opens the door. The cat darts out, so they go down to the garage to look for the cat. And Jung-Soo kind of follows them, but like very slowly. Yeah. Because he's very suspicious. He's already been suspicious this whole time. Then he sees the watch and he uses that. Then he sees the cat. And he tries to get the cat to come to him, but the cat won't. But then he says, "Boyle," and then the cat comes.
He says it 3 times, though. I think
does
that's
he?
important.
Yeah, because, yeah.
I mean...
My cat, Doctor, doesn't respond to his name.
I was about to say, I don't think cats respond to names. I've never seen a cat do that before.
But Jung-Soo definitely takes this as... cat or something. Jung-Soo definitely takes this as evidence that Ben stole Jaime's cat and also murdered Jaime.
Right. So yeah, I mean, after finding the cat, they go back up. His friends are over. You look over at Ben again. He's yarning.
Oh yeah, the girl, the new Jaime, as I called her, is telling a story about, she's like comparing Chinese people with Korean people and Americans and their different characteristics and how she interacts with them at her perfume counter job. And she's like, everyone's laughing, they're kind of entertained by her story, but then Jung-Soo looks over at Ben, who's doing the same yawning and does the same smirk. Yeah. Good acting.
Yeah. And so, he sneaks out at this point.
Right.
But Ben catches him.
Yeah, says, "Why are you leaving?"
Yeah. You should stay and hang out.
Also, didn't you want to talk about Jaime? And Jung-Soo says, "I don't think I need to anymore."
Yeah, I don't think I need to anymore. Like, yeah, I'm done here. I got all I needed.
And that's when Ben once again says, "Listen, you need to feel that bass in you. And that's how why are you too serious? Have fun, feel the bass. Feel alive." And then
he drives off.
He drives off and goes back to the trial, the courthouse, for the sentencing of his father. And
his father goes.
Certainly, the first time I watched this, when I was fully convinced that Ben was the murderer, I was thinking, "Oh, of course, this farmer is being sentenced to 18 months, but Ben's getting away with this whole thing because he's got money and he planned this whole thing out.
Right.
Because he's hurting people without money, that the police don't care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Class, money, all that stuff comes into play.
Father's sentenced, then
we get the scene with Ben in the bathroom. He's putting on his contacts. It's very
right before that, because I definitely want to talk about that. It's big. Right before that, the dad's sentenced to 18 months because he refused to settle. Mm-hmm. Then we see that Jung-soo is selling the calf, the cow. Mm-hmm. Then we're back in Jaime's apartment.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know how Ben got there, how Jung-soo got there, but he's lying on the bed getting a hand job from Jaime, but not really. It's just his imagination.
Yeah, fantasizing about it.
This is the first time in the movie that we see an actualization of Jung-soo's fantasy. Mm-hmm. Or that we get confirmation that something we just saw might have not been real. Mm-hmm. But then that kind of makes me question everything else. Like, what else might have not been real? Mm-hmm. Because right after that, he's lying in Jaime's bed and then sitting, looking out the window with the glimmer of light, writing.
Yes, that's right.
And then cut to Ben in Ben's bathroom, putting on, in his contacts. This is the first time in the whole movie that we're seeing Ben from third person. Like, we're seeing... up until then, we'd only seen Ben through Jung-soo's interactions with him. Mm-hmm. But now, all of a sudden, we get Ben on his own.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, he's putting his contacts with no problem. Mm-hmm. He's touching his eye. I feel like there's this saying about people that can touch their eyes with no problem.
Oh.
Are like...
Yeah, I feel crazy. Like it's like the American Psycho moment.
Yeah,
of
it
Patrick
is.
Bateman's morning regimen.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's a very American Psycho moment of him like putting in his contacts and fixing his hair, and looking at his face.
And then he's applying makeup on the new Jaime.
Yeah, and you can see that she's a little broken as well, a little damaged, a little emotional. She's having this like. I don't know, this charge of emotions happened to her while he's like putting lipstick on her.
Yes. Another thing I learned when I was looking up some references I might have missed was that in Korean and in the film, which is in Korean, the word that they use, the word for burning, is the same as the word, is a homonym for makeup. Mm-hmm. And makeup, like, it's this mask that you're putting on to have this new identity, to shield yourself from the world, to present yourself a certain way. Mm-hmm. Here he is putting the mask on someone else. Mm-hmm. It's, it's creepy and poetic. And I think... Well, okay, let's keep going, I'll talk about what I think. Because then finally,
we get to the climax, right?
This was your other favorite scene. This is it.
This is it.
I know what you like. Ben's in his porch, right? In his Porsche, I mean. Porch.
This is another reason why I think maybe Ben didn't do anything, because he's out there to meet Jung-soo and Jaime.
Yeah, he's standing outside his car smoking a cigarette, looking at his watch when the truck pulls up, and it's just Jung-soo, and he says, "Where's Jaime? I thought I was meeting both of you." Yeah. Jung-soo just walks up to him. Yeah. Remember that knife from before?
Yeah, it comes back.
Bam, now it's inside Ben.
Yeah, he stabs him, man. He stabs him multiple times.
I think our protagonist is kind of nuts.
He's nuts. He loses it. He snaps. Yeah. And... for a moment, Ben fights him off. He gets to his car, but then he gets dragged out.
He shows some emotion, right?
This is the moment.
If he were a true sociopath.
He feels something. He feels it. You know what I mean? This is just like... There's that moment of them looking at each other. this whole moment so intimate between them. They're just staring each other in the eye, and he's trying to fight off the knife, and then it just happens, and he kind of just accepts it. He leans into it, and he hugs him.
Mm-hmm.
He gives him like a hug, and Jung-soo is just kind of like stabbing him some more.
Yeah. And
I was just like, oh, this is like so like intimate and sensual, you know what I mean? And like it's like sex. It's like sex, and it's his first time killing someone.
Ooh,
right?
I see you.
It's his first time. Yeah, it's like his first time all over again. And,
making a murderer.
Yeah, it's Ben's first time feeling something.
Maybe, or maybe he's had feelings this whole time, and he puts on this persona of this mysterious guy who just plays for a living,
sociopath at all,
and he just wants to feel more interesting. Yeah. So he says things like, "I don't cry."
Yeah,
I don't feel things, or maybe he's just so numb to everything because he's surrounded by all this wealth and money. He doesn't have to try for things. He doesn't really have struggles. He has to make them for himself.
Yeah, but now something real is happening to him, and it's this really weird, surreal moment. And he just gives into it, and Jung-soo just throws him in the car, and
then a truck starts passing by because Jung-soo didn't really think this out.
Oh man, it's in a public spot. It's like on the side of the road. Just a terrible spot to commit a murder.
But in the farm town, so still pretty desolate.
Yeah. And he sets it on fire. He grabs the kerosene. He throws the knife in the car. He strips down, butt naked.
He throws all of his clothes.
In there, and he sets it on fire. And at this point, he's kind of like a zombie. He's not himself at all. He has this like really weird look on his face, and he's kind of like stumbling to his car, like doing this staggered walk.
Yeah, and he vomits.
Yeah, he vomits. Just leaving evidence behind, man.
but also, like, I think that's something a human being would do.
Yeah.
Like, after murdering someone.
Yeah.
And he drives away, and we see the Porsche burning in the rear view.
Yeah, I like that. That you just see it burning behind him. It's like everything is blue. Mm-hmm. It's like really cold. Mm-hmm. And then you just have this fire going on, and it passes by him, and then you see it in his rear view, and he's just driving off. It's snowing.
Yeah. And cut to black. Credits.
And that's burning, guys. Yeah. I'm so glad I watched this movie a second time, because if I talked about it the first time I watched it, I'd have a different tone about it, honestly, because it was.
I think I need to make you watch Call Me by Your Name again. I'm completely serious.
It was so. This movie's like it is still like slow and draggy, but it flows much better the second time.
You know where it's going, so
yeah,
you know that stuff that seems small isn't
what you think it is. But other things are. Other things start to pop. You know what I mean? You pick up on.
And there's just so much ambiguity.
And it's so much mystery left that you don't know exactly what happened. I mean, Haimi was such in an emotional state that she could have committed suicide. Mm-hmm. She could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could have had Ben help her.
Mm-hmm.
Ben could have murdered her.
He could have.
Ben could be sex trafficking. That's something I read. Some theories that that's why he goes to Africa to sell women as sex slaves.
That's a wild theory.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can I tell you a theory I have?
Go ahead.
Because the end's weird because it breaks some rules that were established in the movie, like how everything we were seeing was from Jung-soo's perspective. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden it wasn't. But he sits down to write, and then that's when we see Ben alone in his bathroom interacting with the makeup box that we saw Jung-soo see. I think Jung-soo's... Well, it's, I guess, kind of implied that Jung-soo's writing the story out, like this is his book, his novel. Mm-hmm. But I think it might not be happening. after that.
I'm glad they didn't play it out that way. While I was watching it, I'm just like, I'm glad this didn't turn out like Nocturnal Animals, where it was just like, obviously, all the violence was happening in the book and it wasn't real. If that theory is true, it leaves it up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no answers, but
yeah,
the shift in perspective and...
Yeah, because you definitely feel, I guess, sorry or a little more connected to Ben by the very end of the movie.
Right.
And a little more distant from Jung-soo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that switch does happen.
Yeah, because we had only seen of Ben what Jung-soo was thinking, and all those perceptions are fueled by his emotion, for his jealousy of Ben, of his connection with his ease in communicating, connecting with Jaime, and also just his wealth and family and everything.
Yeah. I wanted to say that I think that this is about mental health. It's not very obvious. It's not like ringing the bell in your face, but I think all three of the characters have something mental to them.
It's certainly about that great hunger that they speak of, which I guess that's that existential yearning. Yeah,
it's about mental health, and it's about class.
Certainly,
it's definitely about class.
I certainly got that.
And like love and obsession. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but yeah, watching it this time, just like, wow, all three of them, something is up with all three of them.
And like just it's kind of about the mysteries in life.
Yeah.
The blur, like when he's with the scenes where it's the three of them, Jaime, Jung-soo, and Ben. Jung-soo isn't... You don't know if he's the third wheel or if they're all friends.
I wanted them all to be friends.
Ben, I think, honestly, Ben showed interest in Jung-soo.
Yeah, he did.
Ben was... Upon second viewing, I really felt a lot of compassion for Ben.
Yeah.
He was inviting him into his home multiple times.
Yeah, and you think if he did something shady, he would want to distance himself from Jung-soo. But no, he was always inviting him. He was always interested in his writing, like always just like talking to him. Like in those moments where Jung-soo was very quiet and he wasn't talking to Jaime, he was talking to Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben got him talking.
I mean, certainly Ben was less affected by Jaime's disappearance than Jung-soo, but I think he's less affected by a lot of things than Jung-soo.
Well, Ben's probably a ladies' man, and
he has more distractions. Yeah.
I mean, if this was his first, then he got a little, caught up in his feelings.
Ben's got a drawer full of mementos from past lovers or victims.
Or. But
also, a man's I don't know how this isn't fully thought out, but a man's obsession with a woman isn't necessarily clean cut. That it's two friendly parties on equal terms, and the lines in the movies with the woman not saying nobody's here when she was there, and the Jaime's coworker saying there's no country for women.
Yeah.
Kind of like if there was, even if it was a non-violent relationship, there's definitely you're bringing things into it with your power.
Yeah.
I could have thought this out down to say it more coherently. There's a lot. There's a lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I definitely even though on the first viewing I was just like, I don't think I like this movie. I woke up the next morning thinking about it, and usually if a movie has me thinking a lot about it, I usually like it. I usually want to watch it again. There's something about it that's drawing me to it that I need to understand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Movie or a film?
Movie or a film? This is so film.
Yeah, it's such
so
a film. It's such
oh
a
my
film.
goodness!
If it were a movie,
it's almost painfully film.
If it were a movie, Jaime would have disappeared
Mm-hmm.
after their first encounter, or
Mm-hmm.
after we met Ben for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing would have been this revenge thing, and we would have gotten the answers by the end.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yes.
The whole structure of it was very interesting. How only the last 20 minutes were this pursuit of the truth.
Yeah.
It was mostly just you're with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a film.
It's a film, man. It's film as hell. It's so film.
Yeah. Next week we're gonna talk about a picture.
Yeah.
That we're gonna be talking about The Hateful Eight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino, but it's on Netflix now as an extended version that is separated into 4 parts.
Yeah.
Like episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So we've both seen this movie numerous times.
Yeah, I have the Blu-ray, so.
Yeah, but we're going to watch the Netflix version and then discuss it.
Discuss it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you're looking forward to?
Oh, like upcoming pictures? We haven't done this segment in a
while. I know, right? I mean, because I don't really have anything, but if you did...
Let's see. Next month, Late Night comes out. That's the movie I'm anticipating. It's written by Mindy Kaling, starring Mindy Kaling and Emma Thompson.
Oh, yeah,
Emma Thompson plays like a late night host.
Mm-hmm.
And Mindy Kaling's like the new writer. And I guess she helps Emma Thompson be hip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It looks like a fun movie. I really liked the Mindy project.
Yeah, I like Mindy.
And I like her, and I like Emma Thompson, and I'm glad that Mindy's writing movies now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, I really don't have anything right now that besides
Ma comes out soon too.
Yeah, Ma comes out.
I'm excited
I think
for
at
that.
the end of the month. Yeah, I'm definitely like excited for that. And my mom's gonna come down. We're gonna go see it together.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. I'm excited to see Octavia Spencer in this role. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Cool. Future features making a comeback.
Making a comeback.
All right. Follow us on Twitter at MovieFilmPod.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, the same handle. MovieFilmPod@gmail.com for email.
Yeah.
And thanks for tuning in to Movie
Film.
Film.